it extra homework help or plagiarism? AI has become common practice among many. Even just yesterday, we told you about a new AI program launching in a Springfield public school. Another Western Mass school district believes it got a jump start to implementing AI in classrooms, as well as making sure guardrails are in place. Western Mass News reporter Colleen Hill explains how mimicking a traffic light might keep some out of trouble as we continue our back-to-school coverage.
With a rapidly changing digital world, generative AI is becoming harder and harder to ignore. The answers to tricky homework questions or the introduction to a long essay are just clicks away. This concept was no secret to Westfield Public Schools, which is why they created an AI policy committee in October of 2025.
AI is such an evolving part of people's lives at this point that the district put together a committee that involved parents, school committee members, staff, and students to try to figure out, can we have some guiding principles? Can we come up with some values that we all share? So when individuals are making decisions of how to use or if to use AI, that there was some kind of connective tissue, so to speak, that would guide those decisions.
The committee discussed AI behaviors, concerns, and what students themselves want the most out of a district-wide policy. Michael Morris, the director of human resources with Westfield Public Schools, helped write that policy with what the committee had in mind. It was finalized this past June.
Human-centered learning is the first core principle, and if AI is to be used, we want it to enhance the experience and the relationships between our students and our faculty and staff, not to replace them. That we believe that there's possibility and evidence that AI can be supportive of the relationship and learning.
The policy lays out clear guidelines for how students and faculty should be properly using AI by addressing student usage and academic integrity, data privacy, as well as policy review and evolution. To maintain a high standard for academic integrity, Westfield Public Schools adopted a traffic light model, giving students clear instructions on whether or not AI usage is allowed on certain assignments. If a student sees a red light on their assignment, the use of AI is strictly prohibited, and the assignment must be completed entirely by the student. A yellow light indicates that AI may be used for specific brainstorming, but the final product must be the student's original work. A green light indicates full AI integration is allowed. In Westfield, it's considered cheating anytime AI does the thinking or writing a student is supposed to do themselves. The traffic light system spells that out, assignment by assignment. Casey Daigle, a local AI consultant, worked closely with the district to help start the conversation surrounding AI use in the classroom.
When we have that district policy, it makes it possible for us to have the conversations in classrooms, and broad policy can never address the many nuanced, very unique ways that these conversations are actually going to show up.
She says a district-wide policy is the right move, as it allows classrooms the space to be open and honest with AI use, while encouraging growth and learning.
The conversation about AI, the conversation about technology in schools is challenging, and there are people with really big feelings and really big ideas on every side of the issue. What we can do and what schools are good at, right, is bringing folks together to make sense of this together, right? This is what we do in classrooms. This is what we do in community.
This school year will be Westfield's first real test of the new policy. As AI keeps changing, the district plans to continue updating its guidelines. Leaders say the real key will be through ongoing conversations between teachers, parents, and students about what responsible AI use should look like. Reporting in Westfield, I'm Colleen Hill for Western Mass News.